Hey folks, Mr. Justin here with Secret Weapon Miniatures and another 2-minute tutorial for you. This time another one I get a lot of requests for, a look at how I create broken glass for vehicles and buildings. The first of these, and there's going to be more than one example that I'm going to use. The first of these actually uses the crushed glass kit from Secret Weapon Miniatures, and that is how I created the broken safety glass that you see here on my 1966 442 kit. So you can see the broken glass back there, here in the front window. It creates a reasonably realistic look for you at scale, and it's super easy to do. So here's what we're going to do. The first thing I've done is take some plastic wrap, some saran wrap, and stretch that out reasonably taut. You want to keep it as smooth as possible. You can do this on a cutting mat, you can do this on a CD case, you can do it on anything flat that's going to be easy for you to move, because you're going to want to get this out of your way. Take your realistic water, and all you're going to do is create a small flat area. You can create an excess of this stuff if you want to. I certainly keep some thin sheets of it sitting around in case I need to do windows and don't want to wait 24 hours, because it does take time for the realistic water to dry. And what you can see is I am just spreading it out nice and thin. You can also do this with something flat. In fact, I've used a CD case to spread it out before. I'm not worried about bubbles at the moment, but I will get them out of there in a second, the big one anyway. And you want to get this flat, reasonably uniform, and it'll settle a bit more, of course, as it has a chance to relax on your tray, whatever you're using for it. Pop my big bubbles. And then I'm going to take my crushed glass and very carefully, very lightly sprinkle it onto the surface. So I'm looking right now for the reflection just from the realistic water, and you can see I'm just going to tap this out. Gentle, 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 because I don't want a lot of it. And I want to keep it reasonably uniform across the surface, only because if I get too much in one spot, it's not going to look as realistic when I start cutting it to shape on windows. Some applications you may go a little heavier, some you may go lighter. I've seen this used on buildings, usually to create small sections of broken glass in the corners, and of course on vehicles to create those large sheets of broken safety glass like you'd see in a front or back windshield. So I realize it's hard to see, but I'm going to get this going here so you can have some idea, and you can see how it's a little uneven. I'll fix that, or I would, except that true cooking show style, I am going to set this aside and pull out the one I poured for you yesterday. So this is one I put onto plastic wrap yesterday. I am going to get it off of here, and you just peel it. Doesn't want to come off right away. Takes a little bit of finessing. There we go. Usually once you get a corner of it up, the rest of it will follow. So there is my sheet of now finished realistic water and crushed glass mix. I'm actually going to bring the cutting board back just to give us that blue surface to work against, because this stuff is otherwise hard to see. So I've got my little sheet here. You see it's very flexible, very easy to work with. The other thing I'm going to need to lock it in place is some water effects from Woodland Scenics. This makes a great glue for things like SnowEffects, for windows where a bit of gloss doesn't matter. It's nice and tacky, it's really thick. Makes a good glue for specific applications. Last thing I'm going to need, of course, is the window that I'm going to be working with. In this case, I'm leaving it in the bag because this is actually going on a kit. I want to keep it clean. And all you have to do is stretch this out over your window, cut it slightly larger than the shape, and then you can start breaking it up to fit how you want the broken pieces to look. So you can use just a small section down here along the bottom, like we did on the 442, or you can create a large section like we did for the windshield. Same thing if you're putting it inside of a window pane. You just cut it to the shape you want, pick out some little pieces. You're going to use the water effects like a glue for this in the corners, so I could just cut a little section here. Let's do that. cut it slightly larger, like I said. And I don't have to be terribly precise because I'm actually just going to break this up. So, once that's cut, I'd glue it in place, keep it taut. So coming in from the back of the window here, a little tricky to work with today's injury. Tip is keep control of your belt sander. Just saying. So I would glue that right in here and give that 24 hours to dry. You want to make sure it's nice and taut. From the front, you can see how that would look right by itself. Once it's dry, what I can do is come back with a pair of strong tweezers, and you just start to rip it, creating those jagged edges. In this case, because it's not glued down, I've ripped too much. That's all right. You can see I'm just pulling, creating sharp edges, and the finished piece, oh, it's even going to stay by itself for the moment. It's going to look a bit like that. So you can see you get a nice, realistic broken glass. You get the shatter effect, you get the broken edges. Easy peasy, simple to work with. And that's it. Any questions? It's Mr. Justin at SecretWeaponMiniatures.com, or find us on Facebook.com/SecretWeaponMiniatures. And of course, if there's something you'd like to see covered, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Thanks so much for watching. Happy hobbying.